Welcome to part 6 of the top 7 basic functions you should know in Excel. In this video, we're going to focus on the if function and a few different variations of that function, just like we did in the count video. So the if function is a logic function. It tests whether a statement, a situation that you set is true or false, and then takes an action based on whether it's true or false. So I've got a couple of really simple examples to work with, and then you can go ahead and play around with it and see what you can do. So I've got the same data that I was using in the previous videos to keep it nice and consistent. And what I'm going to do is I've created a new column called order type, and I want in there to identify if I've got any large orders. Now, a large order for me in this data is anything over 100. So probably I could go down and I could work this out myself, but if I had a bigger list of data, that would be really hard. So I'm just going to build an if statement. So I'm going to click on the order type column there, and just like before, this one I'm going to type in. I might use one of the other ways to do one of the more complex ones, so you can see a slightly different way of building it and how the system can help you. But I'm just going to go in and do an equals and then start typing in that quick, simple, easy name if. And if I click on if, it's giving me information, it's opened up my brackets, and what I need to do is then do the logic. So I need to tell it this cell here, if that cell is greater than or equals, so I want 100 and over 100, so that's my logic. If that cell is greater than or equal to 100, and put my comma in, I need to tell it what to do with that. So what I want it to do is to say large order, and anytime I'm putting text into Excel, into a function, I'm going to use speech marks. So I'm going to open up and type in order, and I'm going to use speech marks to close it so it knows what I'm talking about. Comma again. And then I need to tell the system what to do if it's not greater than or equal to 100. Now I could put small order in there, but if I want to leave it blank, which is what I want to do, I'm just going to use the speech marks again immediately after each other, so nothing in between. So I'm going to do it once and I'm going to do it again, and that's telling it to do nothing, to leave it blank. What I need to do to finish this off is to close the brackets, because I've got a bracket open at the beginning. So close the brackets and press enter. And now, because that's 150, that is a large order. All I need to do now then is scroll down, pull it down, and it's now found anything that is greater than or equals 100 is put large order in that comment, which is really useful, especially if you've got a lot of data. It's kind of a bit a way of doing some conditional formatting, but making it more complex, but obviously keeping that logic in. Remember, any text you want to type in, you're going to need to use those speech marks, and if you want something to be blank, just put 2 sets of speech marks in there with nothing in the middle. So that's if. Okay, let's look at sum if then, which is a variation of the if. And this allows me to add figures together based on logic, just like we did before. What I'm going to do is to sum all of the order figures for my large orders only. So I need to build a bit of a slightly more complex function for this one, and I'm going to use the fx part rather than start typing it in, so you can see a slightly different way of building your functions, and it may be a little bit easier for you as these get a little bit more complex. So I'm going to click on the cell where I want that data to appear, and then I'm going to click on the fx, And then in the right hand side, you can see SumIf is the one I most recently used, and that's the one I'm going to select. So I'm going to select it and click on Insert Function. Once I've done that, I've got a few bits of information I need to add. So I want to be a little bit clever here and say, okay, the range is this field here, because this is where the large order information came in. So that's where that information was. So I'm using the data I've already created in a previous function, which is super useful. And then the criteria is I want it to say large order. So equals large order. And I'll just put a cap in there. And then in the sum range, I want it to add those order amounts together. So what it's going to do, it's going to look in column G, any row that's got large order in, it's then going to look in column F and add those together and hopefully give me the correct result at the bottom. When I click on done, I didn't have to put any brackets in, any commas or any speech marks or anything. You can see at the top it's built my formula, my function for me really nicely. And you can see where that detail is, and it's given me a total of 700, sorry, read that totally wrong, which is correct. Just adding that up very quickly, that is absolutely correct. So you can see how you can use different bits of information and then add numbers together. If you had different areas, like you had different regions, you could sum all of your orders per region. Things like that would make it nice and easy. So the last one I want to go through is Countif, and this is where I can count the number of cells that contain a logic statement that I add. So like before, greater than or equals 100. So I can do this really nicely and easy. And I'm just going to build this one out again to show you that detail. I'm going to do equals and I'm going to do count. And if I go down, I've got count if is just one logic statement. There is count ifs if you've got more than one logic statement there. But I'm going to keep it nice and simple for this video. So I'm going to do a count if. And then I want to tell it what cells it's going to count by selecting all those in the column, using my comma, so we'll build it out again really nicely. And then I need to put my logic statement in. So I want it to count it if it's greater than or equals to 100. I'm going to need to put this in speech marks. So I'm going to put my speech marks in there. Greater than or equals 100. And if I have speech marks in, I must remember to close the speech marks, just like I need to close the brackets. So I've asked it to count how many cells in that column equals greater than or equals 100. When I press enter, there is 6, which is correct. Again, just doing a quick tally up in my head because my data is nice and simple and easy to work with. So it's 6. So you can do some basic, simple if logic statements and create some quick functions, and then you can start adding them together. So you can count cells with certain logic statements. You can sum the figures together with certain logic statements, and you can do even more. So have a practice on these basic ones and then try some more complex ones with your data. Please do check out the rest of the videos on the basic functions. Have a look at the channel. We've got tons more of different videos on there covering loads of applications. Please do like and subscribe and let me know what you would like me to record next.